I would like to announce here today, us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now, together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know who were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors.
Someone needs to protect those women. They need security, and they are incredibly brave. You just heard from the survivors of the disgusting sex predator, child sex predator, Jeffrey Epstein, and by the way, Ghislaine Maxwell, who groomed the victims and in some cases even decided to partake in the abuse of these, at the time, girls. Now, they spoke out during this press conference that was organized by Representatives Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna. And one of the victims, who you just saw, is Lisa Phillips. She revealed that in the face of federal government inaction, she and other survivors are compiling their own list of men they were trafficked to, which is incredible, which is brave. I'm so proud of them for being willing to do this because I know how scary something like that could be. But you'll recall that back in July, the Department of Justice put out a memo claiming that the systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. There was also no credible evidence found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions. We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. Now, no one was really buying that, okay? And I'm glad no one was buying that. But according to the survivors, this so-called systematic review was total BS. They don't believe that there was a review or a real investigation into this. Many of the victims and their family members, in fact, told NBC News that the DOJ never even bothered to speak with them.
Show of hands, did any of you hear from the Justice Department before they released that memo, that 2-page memo earlier this summer? No hands. Were any of you told that Todd Blanche would be speaking with Ghislaine Maxwell prior to that interview over the course of 2 days?
No.
No. Were any of you told about the prison transfer that Ghislaine Maxwell?
No.
Do any of you feel that the DOJ has communicated with you enough this year?
No.
Have any of you had any communication with the DOJ?
No.
Nobody in this room has heard at all from the Department of Justice?
No.
That is telling. If you're gonna do a review and you're gonna do a thorough investigation, wouldn't you want to talk to Jeffrey Epstein's victims? The fact that the DOJ didn't speak to the victims is telling, to say the least. And while there may not be a literal list procured by Jeffrey Epstein of his clients, these women have made it clear that there were absolutely other co-conspirators who abused them alongside Jeffrey Epstein. And now they're ready to come together to put those names on a list themselves. So you might be wondering why they haven't come forward with the names of their abusers already, and that question was in fact addressed in the press conference. So let's take a look.
We're reaching out to survivors that are scared to come forward and that also know who they were trafficked to. So that's the list that we're compiling. We're not quite sure, how we're going to release that, or even if we're going to. The Department of Justice needs to release the list.
Right,
yes.
For folks at home, they might be confused. Survivors know the names. You've seen these powerful people. Why can't you say the names? Could you just explain?
Why do we have to say the names when the government knows the names? And we're also scared to do so. Look what's happened to so many of the survivors that have revealed names.
And look, we've also heard some of the people opposing the release of the files cite the victims. They're so concerned about the victims as the main reason for not wanting more information out there. But these women have made it clear as they can make it, by the way, that they do want transparency and they do want accountability. Take a look.
And some people I talked to today are not signing the discharge petition because they say you don't want them to. Can you clarify if that is accurate?
Do any of the survivors here not want the bill to pass?
I think all of them are on the same page. They want everything released.
Want the bill to pass.
Yes, they unequivocally redact personally identifying information and release everything else.
God, I know I've already said it, I'm gonna say it again. I'm really, really proud of these women. I'm really proud of them. This is one of the bravest things they could possibly do. Knowing the kind of harassment they might have to deal with, knowing that this is exactly what Donald Trump does not want. Wow, it's incredible. They're just so strong, so brave, and they deserve a lot of love and support, and I hope that they feel safe. I'm worried about that, but let's see how this develops. Now, while none of the women made any suggestions that Donald Trump was one of their abusers, one woman by the name of Shantae Davies did reveal something pretty interesting about Jeffrey Epstein's relationship with President Trump. Let's take a look.
Epstein surrounded himself, with the most powerful leaders of our country and the world. He abused not only me, but countless others, and everyone seemed to look away. The truth is, Epstein had a free pass. He bragged about his powerful friends, including our current president, Donald Trump. It was his biggest brag, actually. Jeffrey and Ghislaine were always very boastful about their friends, their famous or powerful friends, and his biggest brag forever was that he was very good friends with Donald Trump. He had an 8x10 framed picture of him on his desk with the two of them. They were very close.
Okay. It's just, when you know the more granular details about what Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell did, they would intentionally target girls who came from broken families or were living in poverty. Like every element of the Jeffrey Epstein scandal is so utterly disgusting. I really, really hope that these women get the justice that they deserve and that Americans get the transparency they deserve. And the transparency, of course, that was promised to them by members of the Trump administration who have now fully reneged on that promise. Now, Davies, by the way, also said that she was taken on a trip to Africa with Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton. So the plot thickens. And reporters later asked the women to react to Trump's claims that this whole ordeal is nothing more than a Democrat Party hoax. Well, here's how one of the survivors responded to that.
The president has said that this Epstein issue is a hoax, is the word that he used. Can we get your reactions to what you think when you hear him say that?
President Donald J. Trump, I am a registered Republican, not that that matters because this is not political. However, I cordially invite you to the Capitol to meet me in person so you can understand this is not a hoax. We are real human beings. This is real trauma. These women are real. We're here in person. To say that it's a hoax is just not, please humanize us. There is no hoax. The abuse was real.
The point that she made there about how this isn't political is a really important point to just focus on for a minute, because I get really irritated whenever I'm talking to anyone. I'm on a panel or something and a panel member wants to make it about left versus right, Democrats versus Republicans. It ain't about that. And it's really important to take your mind off of this tribal political culture we unfortunately live in and kind of see this story for what it is. Because the names that have been brought up, the associations that Jeffrey Epstein has had with powerful people really did go across political lines or went across the political aisle. So it's not about Democrats are bad, Republicans are bad. And you guys know where I personally am at when it comes to the two political parties. I think they both do a poor job in representing the American people. And I'm really not in favor of either party at this point, right? And once you get yourself out of that mindset and you're able to see these issues for what they really are, that really opens up opportunities to work with individuals, regardless of how they identify on the political spectrum, who are like-minded in wanting to get something done. I think that's why we're seeing this, alliance with Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massie, and Ro Khanna. You have a wonderful Democrat like Ro Khanna. working with someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's always been thought of as one of President Donald Trump's biggest defenders. But in this particular case, she's not defending Trump. In fact, she's pushing back against Trump even after the Trump administration referred to what the House is doing, what these specific members of Congress are doing as a hostile act. Now, we'll see how this all develops. I'm looking forward to seeing what the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein have to say, what they want to release, the names that they're going to name. And again, I'm really, really proud of what they're doing. I do want to just take a moment to read a few comments from our members, including one from Boomer Cat Dragon, who says, everyone deserves a chance at redemption, even Marjorie Taylor Greene. Hear, hear, I agree. And I again disagree with her on pretty much every policy except for this and her efforts in getting foreign money out of our politics. But with that in mind, I mean, what she's doing is also brave because she has the almost entirety of the Republican Party against her. She has Trump against her and she's doing it anyway. Let's go to Teddy Lucy Linda, who says, where would 47 be if not for the word hoax? I know anything he doesn't like, anything that makes him look bad, it's just a hoax. That's all it is, just a hoax. And finally, I'm just gonna read one more comment from Cat Lady, Lady Man, who says, you're so right. This is extremely brave. I'm so proud of the survivors. Absolutely, I'm proud of them. I'm really hoping that they have a good group of people supporting them, enveloping them in love, and we'll see how this all develops.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.